Hello and welcome back. My name is Dr. Divi, and I'm your podcast host, Ease into Clarity. And we are going to spend some time together. Today is part 2 of our 3-part series on surviving the holidays. And thank you so much for being here. If you don't listen to this first part, don't worry, I will be summarizing it. This is a podcast that you can listen to at any time when there's any stressful time. For example, birthdays, Mother's Day, anniversaries, anytime that you're triggered, this series will help you so much. Now, as we begin, I want you to, if you can, close your eyes and take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. If you're driving, maybe you can't do that. Walking can't do that. So just keep your eyes open and take a slower breath in and a longer breath out. That deep breath tells yourself, I am safe now. Your nervous system gets a chance to relax, gets to chill out, and be still. Take a breath. Beautiful. Beautiful. Whenever I start these podcasts, I also tell you what's going on in my personal business life. My personal life, I'm getting ready for the holidays. My son is here. I have a 20-year-old, and I recently now have a black lab who I adore. So we're going to have a fun holidays, the 4 of us. In my business life, if you're interested in joining me, in December, I have a 7-day challenge from December 29th to January 4th. It's all about the inner temple, giving you lots of juicy stuff. It's live. It's going to be through School, SKOOL. If you haven't found that platform, go to my website and register and log in to become a client there, a member there. It's totally free. What else I've got coming up is on January 17th, I've got a one-day workshop with a bunch of other intuitives up at UBC called the Day of Intuition and Healing. If you want to work a lot deeper with me, I have smaller containers on relationships and health, another container on entrepreneurship. Got a new container on the relationship and health starting on Tuesdays at 12. I would love to have you join me. The last fun thing in my business world is that I've got some in-person workshops coming up for 2026. They are the bomb. So if you've never been to my in-person workshops or have before, I really recommend you checking it out. My first one through 2026 is February 7th and 8th. If you go to my website, you will see them. I am hosting 6 weekend workshops in 2026, 4 of them in Vancouver and 2 in Whistler. So I would love to have you. The dates are all there. So register soon. I limit them to 15 people so we can dive in deep. So as we get going, let's have some fun and take a big breath one more time. So what did I talk about in the first episode? In the first episode of the holiday series, I talked about being honest with our emotions. If you really are struggling seeing your brother, your sister-in-law, your mother, it might be a time to take a break. It's not a permanent break, but it's, a boundary is good. And it's going to give you time to work through whatever emotion is coming up. And being honest, and again, it's not permanent, it's something I need to work through. It's a very normal experience to say, I've had enough with my family. I need a break. Amazing. Step 2 that we talked about in the last podcast was stepping into the observer. Or no, it's not observer. Sorry. Step 2 was to journal. Journal those feelings. Get raw and real. What are you feeling? By journaling, you get it out of your nervous system and onto a piece of paper. So step 3. Step 3 is step into the observer. What am I talking about? Step 3 is becoming the observer of your emotions. To be honest, is probably the most important step in all of spiritual development and the one that we forget the most often. By stepping out and observing yourself, you will not be bypassing your emotions. You're not suppressing them. In fact, it's the opposite. By seeing yourself, you give yourself to feel the emotion and observe it at the same time. Okay, it's crucial. So imagine that as you're doing this, you're sitting next to the younger version of yourself who's having these experiences. You're sitting there like a loving parent next to this child, watching whatever arises within you. By doing that, you're seeing you're not this emotion. You're the one witnessing the emotion. If you want to practice it, all you got to do is close your eyes for a second and take part of your mind and place it on the ceiling and see yourself. As I do that right now, I can see that I'm sitting here in front of a computer with my shoulders over my hips, my eyes closed, wearing a red shirt. And I breathe. And then if I want to get a little more fancier with the observer, I take the same part of my mind that's sitting on the ceiling and I take it to the moon or to planet Jupiter. And I see that I'm this little teeny speck on planet Earth orbiting the sun. Just stay here for about 20 breaths. Now, you don't necessarily need to see yourself if you're not visual. You might know, oh, look, there's the character Jack sitting in his chair. There you go. And the further out you go to Pluto, to Jupiter, and so on, to the next galaxy, the smaller you become, and the less the thoughts that grab you. You'll notice a sense of ease. And just keep breathing. Again, this is called the observer. And when you're doing this, you can say things like, oh, look, I noticed that character, Jack, Jill, John, who I identify as, is having fear. Oh, I notice my chest is tight again. Oh, I notice anger arising. The more you step into the observer, the easier and easier and easier it is. And you just have to keep practicing, practicing, and practicing. Beautiful. Because the more we observe the emotion, the more we give it permission to move. When we suppress it or ignore it or pretend it's not there, the emotion actually gets stuck and gets stronger. Observation allows you to stay conscious and open, even with having that weight of emotion flow through you. And this is the beginning of emotional mastery, the ability to feel it without collapsing into it. So again, step 1 is to be honest with what you're feeling. Step 2 is to journal from there. Step 3 is to step into the observer. And the more you do step 2 and 3 together, I observe that Divi is having this thought, the easier it gets. Step 4, and remember, this podcast I'm putting together is packed with information. So don't be surprised if you have to rewind this and listen to this a few times. Step 4 is recognizing the difference between the ego and spirit. So the ego, and you might have heard me teach this many times in the podcast, is simply the fearful part of our minds. It believes that we are separate from our divine self. It believes I am unsafe. It believes I am worthy. It believes I'm alone. And it is constantly reacting to my old wounds. It retells stories. It anticipates danger. It's retelling the story from childhood. Okay. The ego is not a bad thing or a good thing, and we're not trying to shove it under the bus, but we have to see it for what it is. It's a separate part of ourselves, because until we see it separate, we can't wake up the spirit voice. So remember, we have 2 voices, the ego and spirit. The spirit is the part of us that is loving, eternal, and quiet. It is the true part of who you are. It is the calm part of who you are. It represents the whole mind, the whole you, the wise you, the unhurt you. So breathe into that for a few minutes. Versus the ego, not right or wrong, is simply the mental habit of labeling and identifying. It's always going to speak first. It will speak loudly, and it will speak urgently. Versus spirit is the truth of who you are. So again, I'll say it again. To truly wake up spirit, we have to separate ourselves from the ego, because that the circle that you're in, from whatever holiday stress you're being triggered by, is simply the ego. Because spirit is your innocence, it's your peace, and it sees a truth beyond the story. In step 4, you are simply saying, oh, that reaction of the wall up towards my mother, that reaction is the ego. That feeling is coming from fear and not truth. Again, we're not denying the pain. We're not denying what mom did to us, but we're seeing it from the observer and seeing it as part of us. I want to say something because it's coming in really loudly from the Divine Mother. If we just stay in the ego, we will never heal it. You will call me when you're 90 years old and say, Divi, I'm still mad at my mother. And that anger to your mother, your father, your sibling will cause you physical illness because it will cause you illness. It will cause you pain. So if you actually want to heal the mother wound, the father wound, the sibling wound, your husband wound, you have to be willing to separate yourself from that. Because again, spirit does not hold that thought. Spirit is innocent. It sees peace and it sees the truth beyond that story. Spirit does not judge. It simply is an awareness. And I want you to notice if any part of you is fighting me right now, which I totally respect. If any of you, part of you is saying this is bogus, that can't be true, I want to stay angry, you can't move into healing if you want to stay in the ego thought system. Got it? And as somebody who had a very strong mother wound, and notice how I said had, a very strong father wound, it takes this journey of seeing it as separate from the divine self. And notice if part of you wants to fight, because it's a really big step. And one thing I'll say before I keep going, as you go through these steps, it's not a one and done. It'll keep repeating and repeating and repeating. It's like thinning out that onion layer. So you might have done this step before, but you're going to get on a deeper level every time you're willing to dive in, which is super, super fun. It's the best part of the work is that it never ends. So that's, remember, okay, so we'll rewind again. Step 1, be honest with your feelings. If you need to block them, great, block them. Step 2, journal. That gets it out of the nervous system onto paper. Step 3, be in the observer. Step 4, notice the difference between the ego and spirit. The ego is responding first, nothing wrong, but be noticing and aware that there's a spirit part of me that is holding on to something very different. So again, ego versus spirit. Let's jump into step 5, and I might wind out after step 5. I'm just going to double check here. Yeah. Let's do step 5, and then step 6, 7, we'll do into the next podcast. Because this is a lot, right? Step 4 is ego versus spirit. Remember we talked about ego is fearful mind, right? Spirit is the divine mind. Now to move to step 5, we have to say, step 5 is the part of your mind that there is a part of your mind that has no story. So step 5 can only be pivotal when you separate yourself from the ego. So step 5 is one of the most profound insights on the healing journey. Here goes. There is a part of your mind that has no story. A part of you is untouched. A part of you was never wounded. A part of you was never hurt. Go a little bit deeper. This is the part that existed before the pain and has remained whole under the pain. The other analogy you can use is, you know, when you think of the weather and it's pouring rain and there's clouds, there's sun above it. There's sun above those clouds. There is a sky beneath the weather. There's a calm beneath the storm. So even when those emotions are rising, the nervous system is active and you're angry and you're sad and and the ego is so loud. Remember, the ego answers first. There is a deeper field within you that is quiet, that is still, that is loving. And this step is mastery. Feeling the emotion and knowing it is not who I truly am. And when I get to this step, this is where my healing can accelerate. So you can close your eyes for a minute and take that in. There is a part of me that was never touched by the wound from my siblings. There was a part of me that was never touched by my mother. There was a part of me that was never touched by my husband. And breathe into that. And again, step 5 is pivotal. Take a breath. If your eyes are closed, good. Take a breath. And then when you're ready, go to open your eyes. So I'm going to start a bit of a wind down here. simply because those are really big steps. And don't be surprised if you have to rewind this, listen to this multiple times. But as I wind down, I would love to hear from you. Love for you to share this work. And if you're like me, which, your audience, your people are usually like you, that's just how the universe works, then you want other people to heal the pain because you're doing your work. So this is how you can assist me, and this is how we can assist the planet. So spread this Jitsu work. Let's work together. I'm going to ask you for 4 favors. Number 1, like this podcast. Or if this is watching on YouTube, like the YouTube. Number 2, share this with a friend. Number 3, subscribe. And number 4, write a review. All of those things help the algorithm for the podcast channel, helps my YouTube channel, and then we can spread the word more magically. I'm sending you so much love, and I have so much honor, respect, and grace for you for taking on these steps. Remember, this holiday series is not just for the holidays. It's for birthdays, anniversaries, anytime you're triggered. I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have the most beautiful day. We'll see you in part 3.